but when there's a passion for it, I'm going to do it. I'm really going to put my energy into it. So that's my secret. Do something that you love. What can kill a sport is making it over technical, making it more difficult than it needs to be. And innovation, you should only innovate when it can benefit the customer. Innovation to benefit marketing is a disaster in my mind. I cannot make a board that's going to hover. As much as we'd love to have a hoverboard, that's my dream. I don't want to be that I'm sorry it's finished person.
Every board have bump, but some board covered by fin.
Yeah.
But not Red Paddle.
Yeah.
Red Paddle.
No, because we put our fins in the right place and we put the valve in the right place.
John still believe customers are not stupid.
Customers are not stupid.
Who is Red Paddle? It's like nobody here on the market.
They've obviously been asleep.
So hello from Nuremberg. We are on PaddleExpo 2019. It's the biggest Europe exhibition, and we speak now with John, who is Red Paddle CEO, and it's very important to pass correct information from first hand to you. Hello, John.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm here, so
this is good.
Yeah, nice to meet you here.
Yeah, you too.
You bring here. You come here first time?
So the first time we were here was 2009.
Wow! And since that time, you never visit Nuremberg?
Before 2009, no, I've never visited Nuremberg. But every year since, we have visited.
Yeah, but last year I visited first time.
Yes. Me personally, the last time I came here was 2016.
So it's mean 2016. You stopped to visit. Sorry.
Yes, correct. We were here as a company, but me personally, I haven't visited since 2016.
Okay, 16 personally. And did you walk around?
Yeah, when I had a chance, I had a quick walk around the show.
How you find some changes?
Yeah, it's amazing actually. So when we arrived here in 2009, I put one board against the wall. It was a window actually, and I stood there and I talked to basically people who'd never seen paddleboarding. And I was there. There was 2 other small stands with paddleboards on, but that was it. Just 3. Now you look at it, there's maybe 30. So yeah, sure, it's massively changed. The sport is growing and growing and growing and growing. It's amazing to see the progression.
But is it make you happy to see so many competitors on the market?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem. We were doing this before most people. We're a very well-established brand. We are focused on high quality, great service, great value for money. That's our job. That's what we do, and everybody else can arrive and do what they want. It's not a problem for me.
Your sale quantity, if it's not a secret, increase every year?
Every year, yeah.
But for sure, percentage now go down, like all market percentage, because you are only on one layer, I guess, only one like performance. Perfect, and now a different competitor take another market.
For sure, like every product in the world, every consumer product in the world that is successful has a range of options. As a consumer, you can buy a cheap one, you can buy a middle price one, you can buy a premium price one. We compete in the premium sector. For sure, there's lots of low price product. It's fine. We don't play in that game. So for us, it's normal.
Who is your customer? Is it only end customer, or also you have something for rental, for example?
Yeah, so pretty much all types of customers. So yes, of course, end customer and personal private paddle customers, beach resorts, rental locations. With our windsurfing crossover products, we have windsurfing schools. So yeah, we try and cover all kinds of
You have
areas.
Special product for
Yes, yeah, we have schooling products.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the history.
Yeah, so we started in 2008, and the reason why I started Red Paddle was because my background is in windsurfing, and I was a professional windsurfer, so I was British champion, competing internationally, windsurfing, so jumping waves, doing tricks.
You was sportsman actually.
Yeah.
And now you're in marketing so strong.
Exactly. So And windsurfing for me was a real passion. It still is a real passion for me, but it's a very individual sport. So my friends really didn't windsurf. I didn't want to teach my friends to windsurf because I just wanted to go windsurfing. And windsurfing had reached this point of quite extreme performance. And I saw paddleboarding and I thought, that sport is good for everybody. It's not about performance, it's about experience. It's about getting on the water, paddling along the river, across the from the beach, across to the other side, having a journey, and basically using a paddleboard like you would use a bike. So getting on your bike, going for a cycle ride, maybe for a little bit of fitness, a bit of enjoyment, fresh air, some socializing with your friends and family. So paddleboarding for me that's what it delivered. But there was one big problem, and that was that all the boards were 12'6" long, glass fiber, heavy. You dropped them and they cracked, and nobody wanted to buy one. So I bought three, and I had one, and I used two to take my friends paddling. They loved it, but nobody wanted to buy the board. It's too heavy, too expensive for an unknown sport. Nowhere to store it, no way to transport it. So I just started looking around for solutions, and I think it's important to say that we didn't invent inflatable boards. Okay, they were already in existence, but what was available was a low quality inflatable, what I would call a beach toy. Actually very similar to what you find now in the cheap brands, a very flexible board. So I looked at that concept and I thought, that's a brilliant idea, but it's badly executed. It's not a good example. So I thought if I can go away and find a way to make this better and improve the performance, and by performance I mean stiffness of the board, I mean tracking, how straight it paddles, how durable it is. I thought if I could solve those three issues, then my friends would want to buy one because they could store it easily, they could transport it on their back. So I started working to try and find the right materials, the right design processes. So that probably took maybe 2 to 3 years. So I started in 2008, and for 2 to 3 years we were selling a low volume of product, literally 50 boards a year or something. And we were kind of developing as we went. We were learning the processes, we were learning the material science. We were working with suppliers to get better pumps. We were designing better carrying bags. So it wasn't really until 2013, maybe into 14, that I think we really started to see a benefit for all that work. People were understanding the product, they were understanding the sport. We had sold lots of boards by that point, many thousands of boards, and more people getting into the sport were starting to really start to grow the business. Obviously, actually, what really helped was competitors. So having competitors is very important. You must have competitors. If you have no competitors, you have no business. Because if you have no competitors, then means there is no opportunity to attract people. If you have competitors, then they're helping you grow and that you're attracting more people. So 2014 to maybe 2016, we saw a really fast growth of the sport and lots of competitors. Brilliant, the best thing ever to happen. And then really from 16 onwards, we really started to work on the material science again. So we have 2 phases of our growth. First phase was understanding the technology, then deploying that technology, and then realizing that the competition was really intense. So then we had to redesign the technology, so improve the materials, create the MSL technology, create the Titan pump, create the wheeled bag. Basically what we would call the step change into the next chapter of the sport. So then we saw another big spike of growth from 16 until now, where we've produced the compact board, for example, the Titan pump, the roller bag. And so 11 years has passed quite quickly. We've done had lots of innovation happen in the products. We've learned a lot. We learned an awful lot, trademarking, patents, and we've become extremely confident in what we do. We know our material very well. We know our technology very well, to the point that we're confident to offer a 5-year warranty now on the product because
I was impressed.
We know how it works.
Just make this an announce a few days ago.
Yes. Yep. And we don't make announcements easily. We think about it. We take time to look at data, look at the numbers, look at the communication, and then we make the right decision.
Yeah, your marketing impression, okay. but you say this story, like I read in journal or read any tale. Okay, we start, we do, we let you in 2008. You had no team, I guess.
No. Well, it was me and two other guys that I started the company with.
So it's not so easy to, it's like easy speaking, but I make an imagination of work, what you done, and it's a little bit not stick because easy speaking, but this long way, step by step. For example, I have a question. Why you had no big competitor who stop you from the beginning?
Yeah.
For example, on the market now of inflatables, still Starboard and GP and other big composite brands.
Yeah.
So why? What happens? Why they allowed you to grow up?
I know. What a mistake, yeah? They should not have done that. But I think the reason was, it's a reason of speciality. So their speciality is composite products. So glass fiber, carbon fiber, foam blown products. And I think their impression of the sport in the early years was that it was a way to use their technology and their understanding and their know-how from other sports, so surfing or windsurfing. Windsurfing maybe was having a downturn, and they needed to find another avenue for their technology. So they started to make glass fiber paddleboards because this is what they knew. They didn't know. Their background was not in packed down product. It was about performance. So they were focusing on performance, and they were focusing on a performance-driven element of the sport, racing and surfing. Now, when I started paddleboarding, I also did racing and surfing. I came straight from a windsurfing background of competition, and I went straight into competing in surf events and race events. But very quickly realized that wasn't really what the sport was about. It's not performance-driven, it's experience-driven. And inflatable boards were, for me, immediately it was obvious that was the solution. Everybody else took another 5 years to work that out. Well, that's not my fault, but so it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's not your fault. It's your
my luck.
Good time. Yeah, your luck.
Yeah.
But when you say about performance and you say that you find the compromise, I just remember about windsurfboard, which you delay a few years because you are like a sportsman, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to build.
No.
Build something what is in the middle.
In the middle, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you have come from a performance background, it takes a time to relax.
Like
and
chill, so it also stops you a little bit and allows some other brands to.
Yes, maybe, I don't know. I think I love windsurfing. Windsurfing's great, but it's still, even when we make a windsurfing board that's inflatable, the barriers to entry for windsurfing are still quite high. You need special location, special conditions, special technique. It takes time to learn. And what I love about paddleboarding is the fact that I can give a quick instruction to a friend, and as long as they are with me in a safe environment and I understand obviously the weather and the tides and the rip currents, I know they're going to be safe with me, but I know they're going to have a good time really quickly. Because windsurfing can be a little frustrating to learn, and if I have a friend that's maybe coming down from the city for the weekend, I'm not going to spend 5 hours teaching them to windsurf. I'm going to spend 20 minutes showing them how to paddle, and then we're going to go for a 1 hour paddle. They're going to get tired, but they're going to have a fantastic time. So for me, paddleboarding suddenly opened up a whole world of other things, and windsurfing is important to me in my life, but actually the paddleboarding is a separate thing.
Secret from John.
Yeah.
It's one secret of John. Make a brand for your friends, okay?
Yeah. Well, actually do something that you love, because as you said, there's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of things I don't tell you, and the hours I spent to working to build the company. But it's okay if you have a passion for it, if you enjoy what you're doing, and in this case a sport, if you enjoy a sport, then you can put a lot more effort into it. If I had to design, I don't know, if I had to start a company making, I don't know, this metal piece that goes on a watch strap, I'm not excited by that. I'm not going to spend 18 hours a day in the first 3 years doing every job going, accountancy, sales, marketing. But when there's a passion for it, I'm going to do it. I'm really going to put my energy into it. So that's my secret. Do something that you love.
Yes, so let's speak. Our friend also can motivate us to take this passion up.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so do what you love, okay.
Yeah.
And the history go on. We are here, and maybe you want to say something about what new, because also maybe not really comfortable question, I had no possibility to visit dealer meeting for a few years, and first time I came after 2 years of nothing changed, and I think, this year should be something.
Yeah.
And I see, some changes.
Yeah, well, I think that the sport of paddleboarding, and this is very important to understand, is what can kill a sport is making it over technical, making it more difficult than it needs to be. And the beauty of paddleboarding is that you can make it simple. And actually, the skill for us is in keeping the product to the highest quality, increasing that quality all the time, reducing problems, and that's really our focus. Because what works now for a beginner, an entry-level paddleboarder, is what worked last year, and is what going to work next year. So it's about making that product better and better and better. That's where the 5-year warranty comes in. So actually, it's not about radical changes. It's not about radical marketing or product changes for marketing reasons. It's about making a really honest product. So the 10.6 Ride, for example, is our biggest selling paddleboard, and I have no plans to change what that board feels like or looks like. It's about making that board right for the customer. So just changing lots of colors on it, or putting some amazing fin system on it is not going to change the experience of the customer. If anything, it's going to make it more difficult for the customer. So we have to be very careful in innovation. And innovation, you should only innovate when it can benefit the customer. Innovation to benefit marketing is a disaster in my mind. So, and there's a limit. I think there's a limit to what a limit to what the customer needs, and a limit to what is actually physically, humanly possible to make. I cannot make a board that's going to make you a cup of coffee. I cannot make a board that's going to hover. As much as we'd love to have a hoverboard, that's my dream. A hoverboard would be amazing, but it's not Back to the Future. So I think progression needs to be smooth, and it does not need to be radical, and it needs to be focused on the most important things, which to me is quality, and that's my number one thing.
So if you, as I understand, if you can make your warranty 10 or 20 years, so it will be your priority number one, before marketing tricks or something like this.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think in the modern world, with the whole climate change and global warming and plastic usage and the problems around plastic, is actually we all have to take responsibility for making good quality products. There's a lot of bad quality products in lots of industries, lots of consumer good industries. We have a saying, and it's buy cheap, buy it twice, because it will break. So I really, really, really want to make a product that will last a long time, and you can get a good experience with. But actually, if you want to sell it, it keeps its price. It holds its price. It holds its value. It's like a classic car. A classic car holds its value because people respect it. A cheap, quick, easy, dirty car, it breaks down easily and it becomes landfill. So I'm really focused on not creating landfill. I want to create product that lasts.
I hear the opinion even on in France also had an opinion that people sometimes want to find something new to allow themselves to change old models.
Yeah.
for example, they buy 10.6 2 years ago,
Yep.
which is already MSL, and want to buy something new. Okay, you can recommend them Sport or something
Yep.
of Voyager, but if they want same shape, so they have no reason to buy.
No,
almost the
I don't.
same.
I don't want to sell somebody the same board twice. Okay,
So that's not your method.
it's not. I do not want to sell you a 10.6 and then 3 years later sell you another 10.6. What I want that 10.6 is to last it for as long as possible. But then I want to give you an opportunity to go and buy a sport board or a Voyager board or maybe a compact board. And that's what we do. We have that range. We see it as a customer journey. So somebody comes in at the 10.6 stage and goes through all the way through and maybe buys an 11'3" Sport and then decides, no, I want a 13.2 Voyager, and they travel through the range. In that way, potentially they're going to be a customer for 9, 10, 12 years. And they're going to change every 2 or 3 years maybe. So that's really our focus, not about trying to sell you the same product twice, you know. Because there is a limit to what innovation is possible. There is a limit to price and cost, and I don't want to innovate just for a marketing reason. You know, it needs to be a good, solid reason.
But in this case, I see in perfect world you have people believing, people trust to the brand, but less invest rotation. How to say it? Less money taken by brand from that people. Maybe you have another project, something.
There's always new people coming into the sport. Okay, the sport is accessible to everybody, so that's not a problem. The reason why windsurfing did what it did is because there was a limit to how many people wanted to windsurf or could physically windsurf or had the right location to windsurf. Paddleboarding you can do everywhere, as you know. So actually the incoming feed of people is huge, is massive. So I'm not concerned about trying to sell lots of products to the same people. I'm concerned about selling the right products for that person, and the next person that comes along will do the same thing again and again and again and again. If they continue through their life with us and they buy a Sport and a Voyager, brilliant. If they just stay with a 10.6 ride, fine. I don't want to necessarily sell a board to them twice. I would love to sell them other accessories that they need, not some vital products. So, things like the deck bag for the RedOriginal products. So that's really why we set RedOriginal up, was a way to say to a customer, and the customers are saying to us actually, we love you, we trust you. What more have you got for us? Because I own a board, I own a paddle. So, okay, well let's make some products. What products do you want? And we asked all of our customer database. We want really good dry bags for the board. We want a changing jacket. We want some form of apparel like a hat and a nice paddling clothes. So we made these things for them, for the customers, and launched the RedOriginal brand, and that's been extremely successful because people who buy Red trust Red, and they want to buy more Red. So RedOriginal is I suppose, to answer your question, is that's what else we sell them.
Yeah, but as for me, as a distributor of RedPaddle, the RedOriginal is still hard to sell because it's small part, also expensive for our market sometimes. Okay, and different. It's completely different market to compare the paddle.
Yeah.
I should have store, also sizes.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a retail shop. I tried from that job, all sizes and everything. It's sometimes it's hard job.
Yeah.
And you spend even more time to make some performance details on your small stuff, which cost less.
Yeah.
That's sometimes not understandable by me. Maybe you can explain what's the future of RedOriginals.
Yes.
What do you see for RedOriginal in future? How you feel?
I think it's producing more relevant accessories, not just for paddleboarding, but ideally we want to grow the brand outside of paddleboarding, so to a different customer, to maybe a more general outdoor customer. That's really what we want to do. We want to just create great high quality products that people can use if they want to paddleboard, but they can also use it outside of paddleboarding. And then I think RedPaddleCo, it's an interesting question to take onto RedPaddleCo because, to your point, what's new? What are you coming up with? What's the future? What's the future look like? Well, for sure, innovation continues right at the heart of what we do, and I would expect in the next 2 years or year to 2 years we would start to have another. I talked about earlier about the two spikes of innovation. So firstly was when we started
in boards.
Yeah, in boards. First when we started, then we did Titan pump, and then MSL, and you know there are some key trigger points to really sort of push the innovation story up. And yeah, we've got some things planned, but I can't talk about it. But you know, in coming years, you know, we work to do those special moments, but they're not going to happen every year. They're not going to happen every time we come around to a new year. We have to plan them. We have to make sure they're relevant, which I go back to my point. Has to be a good reason to innovate. No, don't just change for change's sake, as we say. It's about producing high quality innovation that actually is needed. You know, what do we need on the 10.6 ride to make it better? That's what we need to decide. What do we need on the 11-foot sport to make it better? What do we need in a pump? What do we need from a bag? What do we need from a paddle? We need to decide those things and take enough time to develop a high quality solution, not just change the color of the bag or the position of a handle, because that's a fake story.
Like this year, you just add handle on the nose and a little bit.
But that's feedback. That comes from feedback. People, I struggle to lift my board. Okay, we'll give you the handle. You know, it's not about producing radical innovation every year.
So it's cosmetic. It's not really something. So your RedOriginal future. It's you push to some limits, or you want to increase everything. How you feel? You go out in outdoors, or you just I can image what's the next product in I know what you plan, but which market you oriented?
It's always going to be connected to paddleboarding. We always want it to have, that's its heritage. We're not going to suddenly start making cycling equipment or equipment for mountaineering. You know, that's not what we're doing. It is about being a brand based and rooted in paddleboarding, and then we just expand the range of products so that you can use them for other things. It's not about necessarily finding a completely new customer who's never heard of us, who maybe is a mountain climber. It's about making products for paddleboarding, because there's hundreds of thousands of people that paddleboard, so there's plenty of customers. We don't need to go look to mountaineering or cycling for customers. But it's about making product that they can see that there's a double use. So there's a use when they're paddling, but also there's a use when they're maybe out walking the dog, or they're taking a hike, or they're maybe on a sailing boat or something. You know, they can use it in multiple ways. So that's really the future.
Okay, but it's still a different project for me. Sorry, in my head. So I have another question. Did you try maybe other projects which are not so stitchable to the trading, for example, not product, maybe online project? Did you think about that?
Yeah, we've thought about various projects, so like different app projects, you know, like maybe route finding apps or paddle guide apps and things. Of course, we've discussed those things in the past. We've not done anything about those sort of things. We are extremely busy, you know, running the company and running the brand and servicing the demand of the customers. So, as I said earlier, we need to be passionate about what we do, and that we're passionate about being paddleboarders and going paddleboarding. So, all the other ideas we come up with are you know, they lack a little bit of the passion for it. So
you choose RedOriginal because it's easiest way to you, or because you understand monetization way, or
it's a natural way for a progression of the customer.
Yes, so exactly, for you, like product.
Exactly, yeah.
But you stop thinking about apps, web, or something, or you go on dreaming about it.
Oh yeah, you go on dreaming about it. Yeah, you come up.
So just dreaming at the moment.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes someday another good idea will come around, and we will move with that. When I set the company up, the red square logo that sits on the top of every single of our boards, that's the if you like, the mothership, the parent brand. And my plan was originally to create RedPaddleCo and then lots of other co's beneath it. I just got really busy making paddleboards that we never got round to doing all the other co's. So if you like, RedOriginal is that next step.
RedPaddleCo or Red?
Yeah, no, I think that's we're making products for those markets. It's not. We don't want to be
like franchise.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. That's not really what we think. You know, it's more product based.
Maybe you open some dreams you already dream, but still in your head. Can you open for me or for customers?
Yeah, you don't want to know what's in my head. You don't want to know what's in my head.
I don't ask you to open everything, but maybe you, for example, okay, if not rental, which other reds?
I think there's some other sports for sure. There are other sports, outdoor sports, where we can use our technology, where we can use what we've learned in making paddleboards for 11 years, and we can, if you like, redeploy that technology. So yeah, keep a look on things in the future, because I think we would like to produce some other products. I can't tell you what they are.
So now you prefer to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. But what you maybe canceled some ideas, or can you open that ideas, or it's also?
Yeah, no, let's not talk about cancelled ideas.
Okay,
because they were probably
not?
really bad ones.
Why not? Why not? Okay, let's speak about 2020. You have compact. You got new compact 11.
11, yeah.
You still with same Titan.
But actually, a lot of things change that you can't see. Okay, so it's about process change. It's about going back to the point about reducing warranties. So it's about improving the quality of parts, improving the ability to change a part if you need to change a part. So make it easier to repair and replace your product. So a big thing for us going forward, from now forward, is what we call DFD, and that is design for disassembly. It means that the product, increasingly, we need to design a product that you can take to pieces, take apart, and replace parts when they get worn, because things break, things wear out.
Yeah.
So now the Titan pump is pretty much 99% DFD. The only thing it's not replaceable as a single part is the two chambers and the feet. They are connected, but everything else is completely interchangeable. So you should be able to keep a Titan pump going forever, basically, as long as we've got a supply of spare parts. It's a little bit like old cars, actually. So when I grew up driving a car, if it broke down, I lift the front of the car up, I could take my spanner and I could take out the carburetor, and I could go to the store and buy a new one, and I could put it in, or I could repair it and put it back in. And your modern car, you open the front of the modern car, it's completely finished. You cannot repair it.
Yeah,
you have to take it somewhere to get it repaired and spend a lot of money, or they just say, no, I'm sorry, it's finished. I don't want to be that I'm sorry it's finished person. So that's our dream, ultimately moving forwards, is we want to get to a point where you can maintain the product, you can replace parts on the products. And so a lot of what's going on is you don't see those small things that we're making, that we're changing, you know, whether it's the way that we put a buckle on a bag or the way that we make a pump. So it's that's really that's a state of mind, you know. It's something we're really focused on.
You really focus on details. You say that every time, but sometimes I have really funny complaining. Sometimes you can even explain why. So please explain why. For example, you have this edge on Voyagers, like wavy edge on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Step by step. So why sometimes our customers see wavy edge on the...
Yeah, that's simple. So what you're talking about there is the nose of the board, or the tail of the board.
Yeah.
It looks like it's wavy, or there's bumps. And it's simple to explain. Okay, so and the best way to explain it is in terms of a newspaper, you know, so like a newspaper. So if you take one sheet of newspaper and you fold it, it can fold it nice and smooth, and it looks nice and smooth. You take the whole newspaper and you try and bend it around the same curve, it gets wavy and bumpy. Yeah. So what you see on the side of our boards is the fact that the thickness of the board extends all the way down to the rail, and so when you try and bend it around a corner, it gets wavy, it gets rucked up, as we would say. You don't get a smooth curve. And actually a smooth curve is an example of thin material. And one place where you don't want thin material is on the edge of a board. So we have a thick material that runs all the way around, and it bunches up around those corners. It creates that kind of rough, wobbly surface. So it is about detail. But it's about understanding the detail. That Wavy is an indication of quality.
Why you don't make same funny video like you make about bump on your shirt?
Because apart from you, hardly anybody else is about it.
Also, good question about bump. You know, I see every time. I have a call. Wow, in new board. Wow, I have a trouble. Is it under warranty? What do you mean? It's a bump. Did you saw the sticker? I don't remember, but I am sure 100%.
Yeah.
Every board have sticker. It's okay, but they take it off.
Exactly.
But why you don't place the fin over, for example, to?
Because so this is a good question. The fins need to go in the right place for where the fin needs to go, and the valve needs to go in the right place where the valve needs to go. And not always they're in the same location. So we don't compromise. We don't put a fin over the bump for the valve just because we want to cover it up.
So you prefer performance before nice view?
Yeah, basically. And once you understand what the bump is, it's not a problem.
I know.
So
I know.
It's education.
Every board have bump, but some board covered by fin.
Yeah.
But not red paddle.
Yeah.
Red paddle.
No, because we put our fins in the right place and we put the valve in the right place. So the number one thing to do is tell every customer when they buy the board, don't worry, there is a bump underneath the board.
You believe customers are not stupid. You see? John still believe customers are not stupid.
Customers are not stupid. It's about education, and we try and educate with the sticker, and you need to educate them with the voice.
It was the lesson of believing in people.
That's it.
Okay, what we didn't discuss?
I don't know. I think we discussed most things. Pretty comprehensive chat.
Actually, sometimes my customers ask about used board, and I should to tell them this story that which we start about starboard and GP, which was late, and Red Paddle was number one, and because now people don't understand the history of Red Paddle. Only 10, 12 years, and GP or starboard have 50-year history. So, like who is Red Paddle? And Red Paddle, just young factory or something like this, like young. So I started explaining that you was like near the beginning, and they just delay. But we speak about that already, so maybe even no need to repeat.
I thought also it's important to understand that when the customer enters into paddleboarding, they probably are coming from a completely neutral background. They're not windsurfers, they're not kite surfers, so they don't know these other brands. So actually, to them, all the brands are the same.
No, we speak about. Some really experienced windsurfers.
Yeah, sure.
They came and start to complain. Who is Red Paddle? It's like nobody here on the market.
They've obviously been asleep.
Yeah, it's exactly what I try to explain. Maybe we can speak a little bit about future secrets.
Well, then they wouldn't be secrets, would they? If we discussed them.
But you speak about that you feel some grow up in future. It's about material, or it's about?
It's about everything we've been discussing. So it's about making the product DFD, designed for disassembly. It's about making the product more user-friendly, easier to use. It's about maybe making it easier to use it in different ways, multiple use or multiple styles. It's all those sort of things combined. We think about all those things. It's not one thing. It's not about making a board faster. It's not about making a board lighter. It's lots of different elements put together to try and progress the product. So
you didn't say about material. You say nothing about material. You don't believe
all of those things are related to material, obviously, because it's
do you believe it's possible to improve air deck in future, like more harder or different shape?
I think so. Yeah.
And how close you are with that? How RedPaddle close to the material manufacturer?
I think it's important to understand why you're changing the material. You know, it's not just don't just change it. You know, just because you can. If we can change it in a way that improves the experience of the customer, then we will do it. So yeah, we're quite close, but you have to weigh up the cost. You have to decide if it's worth the investment to do it, because actually the machines that we use to make the material for the boards, minimum cost of a machine is $500,000. So $500,000 to buy a machine. So you need to be really sure that the innovation that you're doing with the machine is going to work and is going to last, and therefore you're going to make the money back. So yeah, we're always very close. We're always very close to the next innovation. You're always just navigating the hurdles of cost, return on investment, and all those things, all the boring things you have to consider in a business. If cost was no issue, yeah, sure, we would be going over the line and into innovation all the time, but cost is always a problem.
Okay, at the moment I have no questions.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because you're tired.
That's perfect. I think I've answered it. I can't give you any more secrets, so we finished there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you plan to visit party tonight?
Yes, yeah.
Hope to see you there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Thank you.